Our next topic is other process improvement tools, how we can improve our process. We have some tools. First, will study about process analysis, then we will study process value analysis, then we'll study about business process re-engineering, then we'll study about benchmarking, and then of course we'll wind it up. So first tool we have is the process analysis. What is a process? A business can be considered as a combination of different processes. A business actually depends upon many processes, and all these processes together make up the business. So process analysis is a means of linking firm's internal processes to its overall strategy. There are two types of processes. One, a tight process. Another is a loose process. What's the difference? In tight process, we have very little leverage. Whatever is produced by one department, the whole of it is to be delivered to the next department. Whatever is then finalized in this department, the whole of it is to be delivered to the next. So there is no leverage for wastage. Input of one department is the output of another, and then this goes on and on. But in loose process, there is some leverage for wastage, there is some leverage of work in process. So in such processes, the businesses will have some unfinished work. The goods completed are transferred out. Unfinished work will be there in the work in process, and some wastage to some extent is also permitted. So a business must identify what kind of process do they have. Is it tight process or is it loose process? The processes are connected neck to neck, or is there leeway between the processes? Then we have a very important concept here: value adding and non-value adding. This is what we discussed previously, but you need to make sure you understand it well here. Value adding processes are those processes that increase the customer's utility, the customer benefit. Like design and testing, it's a value adding activity because it increases the customer utility, hence price of the product. Manufacturing is a value adding process. Customer service is a value adding process. Then research and development, it's a value adding process. All these are very essential because money spent on them means that the customers will get more satisfaction, hence value adding. There are many other processes which are non-value adding, which do not add any value. Customer doesn't care about such processes. Like I just said, storage, customer doesn't care about storage. It's a non-value adding. Customer doesn't care about production scheduling. Customer doesn't care about material handling. He doesn't care where the products are, whether they are insured or not. So non-value adding activities, these are the activities which just incur cost and they provide us no benefit. So we must keep either non-value adding cost close to zero or as low as possible, because these are just expenses with no benefit for the customer. So we should keep these costs as low as possible. Then we have next idea called business process re-engineering. You can understand business process re-engineering through this example. Let's say this is the building. It was a nice building, but we need a new building. What we do, we destroy it, we break this down, and then we start our new building from zero. This is called business process re-engineering. Business process re-engineering is dismantling the existing systems, existing processes, and developing a totally new system to take its place. It's a very risky approach, but under some critical circumstances, this is the only tool we have to make businesses work. So business process re-engineering is a complete rethinking. It's a complete rethinking of doing things in a totally different way. So basically, business re-engineering is a process innovation. We do things in a different way. So when we say improvement, improvements are like these. Small improvement, 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 improvement. This is called business improvement, process improvement. This is the example of process improvement. You go step by step. But in re-engineering, you do this from here. You jump straight to here. This is re-engineering. Big productivity jump. But in process improvement, these are called incremental improvements. You take small steps. So yes, if you ask me which is safer, I would say this is safe. There's less risk, but this is highly risky. You're taking a big risk by destroying the existing systems. So they may fail and you lose everything. But this step is small, step-by-step approach. But under some circumstances, when the business is in a very critical condition, maybe the BPR is the only option so that we can get out of the trouble and do things in a different way. So yes, once we have set up this entirely new system, we need to monitor whether it is working effectively or not. The next tool we have, what we are studying, process improvement tools, some tools which we can use to improve our performance. Next tool we have is benchmarking. Now, what is benchmarking? Just let me give you an example. This is benchmarking. We take maybe the industry leader or leading competitor. We take it as our standard. And we try to follow this standard. And we just simply do what the standard does. In simple words, this is called benchmarking, copying. Copying what the industry leader is doing and then following the footsteps of your leader. This is what you call benchmarking. In simple words, following the best performer, copying the processes of the best performer. This is benchmarking. How do we do that? So there are some important points to learn here. So basically, benchmarking involves continuously evaluating the practices of a best in class. Who is best in class? This gentleman here in red. He is the best. Then we see what he is doing and what we are doing, and then we keep on evaluating and improving ourselves by keeping this leader or this best practice in mind. And this is the way we can bring in the process improvement. So there are certain phases. In the first phase, we make up what you call the benchmarking projects. We select and prioritize what is we want to change. What is there that needs changing? Let's say if you are a bank provides a host of services to its account holders. It provides loans, it provides custodial services, it provides investment advice. So let's say in our bank, this is the main problem. Because if someone comes for a loan, we take 3 months to sanction him the loan. Whereas the other banks, they just take 14 days. Now we would like to know what is wrong with us. Why do we take so much time in granting the loan? Why the other banks, especially this bank, is able to grant the loan in 14 days? Despite that, this bank has 99% recovery just in 14-day process, and my workers, my bankers, my staff, they spend 3 months and my recovery rate is just 84%, for example. This is terrible. I need to do something. My banks take more time and there is a lot of bad debt, but this bank, the leading bank, 14 days only and 99% recovery. So we need to do. So this is how we do. We select and prioritize what do we want to change. What is there that needs changing? This is the first phase. Then in the next phase, we organize benchmarking teams. Now why teams? Because loan granting is not the work of a single department. There is compliance, there is internal audit, there is accounting, there is credit administration. We need to bring in the people from these departments who are involved in this process. We can't do this in the boardroom. We can't do this by just a single department. We need to bring in these people here. Right? So they are the one who will investigate our current system. Why are we taking 3 months? Why there is 84% recovery rate? Then we see what the best in class is doing, and then we try to copy. Let's put this word simply. You should not use this word. We just copy the system in processes so that we can achieve the same performance. So we identified that our 3 months is time and 84% is the recovery rate, and we researched and identified this bank as the leading bank, which just take 14 days and there is 99% recovery. This is sometimes very difficult because we need to identify who is the best. Researching and identifying best in class performance is often the most difficult task, because you never know who is best, because you do not have access to the internal processes of this bank. The other bank, let's say you are the bank A and this is bank B. How will you get insight into the bank B? What they actually do, this is something hard to take out from. Somehow if you are able to, you can bring in changes in your business processes also, and you can perform well as well. And then finally, once we have adopted the processes of this leading banker, we can go for data analysis to see whether have we been able to bridge the gap, what was there and now what the gap was, that we were doing it in 3 months, this may go in 14 days. So we need to bridge this gap to as low as possible. Then there is this tool, Balance Scorecard. This has been now moved to your section C. Balance Scorecard says that you need to succeed in 4 dimensions simultaneously. A successful business makes money for the shareholders. A successful business keeps his customers happy. A successful business will help its employees to learn, grow and innovate. And a successful business invests in internal business processes. So if you are able to achieve success in these 4 categories at the same time, we say that your business is now balanced and it's growing in a way that is good for the long term. So basically it's a goal congruence tool. It is in section C now, not here. So you just need to learn that a business needs to succeed in these 4 dimensions simultaneously. Financially, shareholders should be good. They should get value for their investment. Customers should be satisfied. Internal business processes, we need to improve our quality. We need to improve our processes. And the 4th one, that our employees should be confident, employees should be competent. And there can be many other objectives which can be measured through some tools. So this topic you can visit in section C. So here we just need to give an intro that this tool is a goal congruence tool which informs the managers that money is important, but you need to keep your customers happy. You need to keep your employees confident and competent so that they can deliver their best. In other words, you have to have success in these 4 categories at the same time. Only then you are successful. Just money is not enough. Just customer is not enough. You need to succeed in all these 4 dimensions, in these 4 categories together. Now we have the last topic here, the cost of quality. This SMA, that is the Strategic Management Accountant, SMA, that's the magazine that is issued to all students and members of CMA. So SMA 4R lists 4 categories of cost quality. When we say quality, it doesn't mean perfection in manufacturing. Quality means the ability of your product, the ability of your service to satisfy the customer wants. If a product can satisfy a customer, we say it has high quality. If a product or service does not satisfy the customer say wallah maafi quest, then we say that this product or service has low quality. So that's the idea. Quality doesn't mean perfection. Quality means the ability of a product or service to satisfy what the customer wanted. So we have divided our cost of quality into 4 categories: prevention, appraisal, internal failure, external failure. Let me explain these to you in detail. Total cost of quality can be first categorized into cost of good quality and cost of poor quality. Cost of good quality, these costs are also called the conformance cost. Mind the word, it's a beautiful word. Conformance, that the goods are as per as we wanted, so they're 100% okay. These are called conformance cost. Other categories of cost, they are called cost of poor quality, is called non-conformance cost. That if your products are not up to the standard, non-conformance cost. Okay, what basically it involves? Conformance cost means in order to produce goods up to our specification, there are two sets of costs, prevention and appraisal. Despite that, if the goods are of not good quality, they are of poor quality, so in order to rectify them, we will have to incur few more costs. They are called internal failure and external failure. Right? So these are basically different protections or different safeguards. Let me explain to you. Our first safeguard to ensure that our product is of high quality, the first defense, the first and foremost defense is prevention. You should have good quality suppliers. It's prevention. You should train your employees. Prevention. You should review your equipment, that your equipment is fine. Prevention. You should regularly maintain your plant. This is if you give me $100, if I am the production manager, if you give me $100, I will put $99 here. This is the best defense. This is the first defense. If this is stronger, then all the downward costs can be reduced. Right? So this is the best check on quality. Good suppliers, trained employees, good equipment, regularly maintained equipment, then I get the best product. Let's say despite having prevention, good suppliers, good equipment, trained staff, still I need to check whether the goods are right or not up to the specification. So the next defense, next category, appraisal. Remember, gentlemen, supplier evaluation, machine maintenance, training and prevention, training and regular maintenance of machine. This comes in prevention. Now, once a production has been made, now I need to check whether they're up to the quality. So the next types of costs I spend is called appraisal costs. It includes inspection. You inspect inspection cost. It includes testing. I check the products whether they are okay. Right? It involves statistical checks on products. So these two types of categories of cost, they are called conformance costs because goods are up to the standard. Now let's say goods are not up to the standards, goods are poor. So does it mean we throw the goods away? No. We have another categories of cost called internal failure. The goods were caught before they reached the customer. So when the goods were identified to be faulty and at this stage, we will rectify them. Right? So we will maybe rework. So any cost that is rework will come in the internal failure. Now the fourth one is very dangerous. Goods were sent to the customer. Customer opened the goods and he found the goods to be defective. He was unhappy. He will bring the goods back to you. Throw the goods in your face. He is unhappy. He wants his money back. Now these kinds of costs now we are going to face. These are called external failure. Why? Because your customer is unhappy. Your customer might ask for refunds. Your customer might become aggressive. He might cancel further orders. He might convey his dissatisfaction to his friends and his relatives. And this means the business will lose. Now, gentlemen, just a quick review. We have four categories of cost. I would say these are the four defenses. The first and foremost, I told you, give me $100, I will put $99 here and remaining $1 here because this is the first defense. Good supplier, trained employees, good maintained machinery, all this comes in prevention. Once the goods are made, the next step is to check them whether they are okay or not. So inspection, testing of products that have been made, statistical quality controls, they come in appraisal. Now goods have been made, they have been tested, but some of them were found to be damaged. We now need to rectify them. This is reworking. This reworking is called internal failure. So far fine, but the fourth one is very dangerous because in this case, this cost involves when the customer receives the good, he finds the goods to be of poor quality, he brings them back, he asks for refunds, he asks for cancellation of repeat orders, and he communicates his unhappiness to others. This is the fourth category, is called external failure. So now let's try see what kind of questions do we get on this specific area. Which of the following is not a type of process? Let us see one by one. Make to stock is a process that when you make to put the item in a stock, it's a push system. Remember MRP, material requirement planning. We produce to stock so that when the season comes, we can sell. Make to order, your customer is standing and you just prepare the good food, just like baking a pizza when the customer is standing. It's called made to order, like job order costing, right? And hybrid system is a combination of maybe these two. Or you can say that job order costing plus process costing can sometimes be combined. This is called hybrid. Just like Toyota Prius is a hybrid car because it runs on fuel as well as on batteries. So hybrid means combination of two. So yes, A is a process, B is a process, D is a process, but C is not a process. C is called buffer, is a minimum stock that you should have so that the production should continue. So buffer basically is not a process. Rather, buffer is another name we use for safety stock, the stock that you should always have so that in case if there is delay in delivery, your production doesn't stop, right? An example of internal non-financial benchmark. We are looking for two things, gentlemen. We need a non-financial. This is the first thing I'm looking for. And second, that benchmark should be internal. Remember, we just studied that benchmarking is like a standard setting activity where we set a standard and we try to copy that. Let me show you. This benchmark is not necessarily someone outside. Maybe we have 7 branches in Saudi Arabia, and my branch that is doing the best is the one that is in the Dammam, eastern region. This is the best branch. So my other branch, Jeddah, Yambo, Riyadh, so on and so forth. So they can take the Dammam as a benchmark. So your benchmark can be internal within the company. So it's not that it has to always be an outside comparator. It could be internal. So this is the idea here. We are looking for some benchmark that is internal within the firm, and that involves non-dollar. When you say non-financial, that means the benchmark we are using, we don't use dollars for it, we are using something else. So basically it is non-monetary or non-dollar based measure. Non-dollar based measure. Let's see which of these fulfills what we are looking for. Going with option A. It says labor rate of comparably skilled employees to a major competitor. Competitor is external. We are looking for an internal, so this means it's incorrect. Average actual cost. Since cost involves dollar, we are looking for a non-dollar based measure. This is incorrect. C. Company setting a benchmark of $50,000. We don't need dollars. Maafi dollars. We are looking for internal non-financial. So A, B, C are wrong. Let's see and read D carefully. Percentage of customer orders delivered on time at the company's most efficient plant becoming the benchmark for the company's other plants. Absolutely. This is what I'm looking for. Our own most efficient plant, this is the requirement number 2, internal. And second, we are looking for non-financial, non-dollar based. So this is percentage of customer orders. This is clearly our requirement number 1, non-dollar based measure. So that makes D to be the correct option. Gentlemen, this is what you need to do. You need to read the options carefully so that you can select the correct option. Reading the options, theoretical questions, options especially, is very important. Read them carefully and see where we can find the clear points that will help us either to accept or reject a certain option. Next. This is a good one again. Which of the following statements is false-minded? We are looking for false with respect to best practices analysis. Let's see. The balanced scorecard facilitates best practice analysis. Yes, because balanced scorecard helps us look at 4 categories simultaneously: money, customer, internal business process, and our employees. So this is a good approach. A is very good, perfect. It's not false, it's true. B, best practice analysis is a way or method of accomplishing a business function or a process that is considered to be superior to all other known methods. Yes, when you say best practice analysis, it means we are analyzing that process which is considered to be better than others. This is a true statement. Best practice analysis assumes that lesson learned from one area of a business can be passed on to another area of the business or between businesses. True. This is true. If someone is doing well, we can just copy that person or that business process or that business activity. So this is true, so that we can learn. So best practice analysis means what we learn in one area, we can copy that to another area or to another business. This is true as well. Then it has to be D. Let's see and justify the answer. The concept of benchmarking is incompatible with the best practice analysis. Wrong. Benchmarking is in fact best practice analysis. This is a false statement and hence our right answer, because we are looking for the one that is false. So the 4 categories of cost associated with the product quality of cost are, I hope you remember, the first defense is preventive, then appraisal, then internal failure, then external failure. These are the 4 categories, and if you just, this is incorrect. External failure, internal failure, prevention, appraisal. Absolutely right. All these 4s are there in B, so we will go for B. This is a lovely question. The cost of scrap, rework, tooling changes in a product quality cost system is categorized as what? Remember, rework happens when the goods are not up to the quality and goods are still with you, the goods didn't reach the customer. So rework on those goods which are still in your hand, didn't go to the customer, it is internal failure. If the goods go to the customer and customer finds them of poor quality, goods come back and then you rework, that would be external failure. So right here it is internal failure. That makes C to be the correct option. The next is the cost of statistical quality control in a product quality cost system. When the goods are produced, we check which of them are, remember, there are 4 defenses we have. The first defense is preventive. Second defense we have appraisal. Third defense we have internal, not of defense rather, now the goods have been damaged. And this is the last one, external failure. So in preventive we have a supplier evaluation, we have preventive maintenance, staff training. In appraisal we have testing, we have inspection, we have statistical quality control. So this is appraisal. That makes D to be the correct option. Next, it's a good one. Listed below are selected line items from cost of quality report for Western products for the last month. Rework is, remember, internal failure. Equipment maintenance is a good thing. I love this. It's preventive maintenance. It's prevention. Product testing, it's appraisal. And product repairs, it's again, they were damaged. We had to rework. It is internal failure. Now the question says, what is the Watson total preventive and appraisal? When I say total preventive and appraisal, this is what you need to add up. So 1154 plus 786, I believe is going to be 1940. Sum of preventive and appraisal cost. That makes C to be the correct option. Which of the following quality of costs are non-conformance? Let me take you back. The cost of good quality as per the specification, as per the product type we wanted. These are called conformance costs. And if the products are not as per the specification, these are called non-conformance costs. So remember, internal and external failures are non-conformance. Remember the word with failure. Failures, whether internal or external, they are non-conformance. And prevention and appraisal, they are conformance cost. Okay, now system development, they are conformance cost. Cost of inspection in process item, they are appraisal. Cost of quality circles training your employees so they become more efficient and effective, it is again conformance cost. But environmental cost, the result of your bad production that damages the environment, this is considered as non-conformance cost. Let me show you the line where it is shown. Environmental costs are also external failure cost. If you damage the environment, the costs of loss to the environment is called the external failure cost. Wow, this is the most beautiful question for tonight. Lovely. Now, look at this. What we are looking for. All these items, we'll study all these, we'll mark which of these is internal failure, external failure, and then we go for the solution. The dollar amount of the cost of quality classified as preventive cost for manufacturing. Now we are looking for preventive cost, and I'm going to give it blue color. And when we say preventive cost, these are the costs involving employees training. These are the costs involving suppliers evaluation. These are the costs involving preventive maintenance of your plant so that they do not develop any problem. So let us see and then find out which cost are which. Let's see first. Design reviews so that your products are not out of specification. This is preventive cost, P. Finished goods returned due to failure. Customer rejected them, bad. This is external failure, EF. Freight on the replacement of finished goods. Customer sent those goods back to you and you had to pay the freight on those replacement finished goods. Customer is unhappy. You had to pay this freight. So this is external failure. Labor inspection during manufacturing. There is manufacturing going on and labor is inspecting whether the goods are up to the specification or not. This is appraisal. Remember, inspection of goods, testing of finished goods, testing of raw materials, statistical quality controls, all these are appraisals, APP. I will write in black. Then labor inspection of raw materials. Raw materials come and labor inspect whether these raw materials are up to the standard. This is not prevention, this is appraisal. Remember, inspection of finished goods, inspection of raw materials, this always is a part of appraisal. Then manufacturing product testing labor. Those laborers who test the products laboring, their cost, labor cost that test the product whether they are up to specification, this is again appraisal. Manufacturing rework labor and overheads. We had to rework. Whenever you see the work rework, this is a loss. Since there is no indication whether the goods have been returned from the customer, so it is going to be internal failure, and I'm going to give it green color. Internal failure, IF. Materials used in warranty repairs. Customer came, he threw the goods in your face and he needs warranty repairs. This is clearly a bad thing. Customer is unhappy. He brought the goods and needs warranty. This is external failure. Process engineering so that problems do not occur. Problems could be avoided. Beautiful. This is prevention. Product liability claims. Some customers suffered loss. They put us suit against us in the court of law. Now we are taking product liability claim. This is bad for us. This is external failure, EF. Product testing equipment. Yes, equipments that manufacture, we keep on maintaining them so that they do not develop fault. So product testing equipment, these are used in evaluating whether the products are up to the specification or not. So clearly they are used as a part of appraisal. This 35,000 is APP. Repairs to equipment due to breakdowns. Breakdowns should not have happened. We should regularly maintain our plant. So if there is a breakdown, it is considered as an internal failure in green. Okay, next, scheduled equipment maintenance. This is a lovely thing. You need to keep on conducting this preventive maintenance so that your machinery doesn't develop faults. This is a nice thing. And this is preventive. This is good thing that you regularly maintain your plant before they develop problems. Scrap material, the material wasted. There is no involvement of customer, so this is clearly internal failure. IF. And finally, training of your manufacturing workers. You train them so that they do not damage materials, so they work perfectly. This is preventive cost. So if you add these in blue, 156, 90, 180 and 275, you should be able to get your answer. 275 plus 180 plus 90 plus 156 gives you 701, and which perfectly matches with your option B, Wallah Lazim. So it's going to be B, and that goes blue. That means it's correct. So very nice question. I hope it clarified many small doubts you may have had. Now the same question, but this time the requirement is different. It says the cost of quality that are incurred in detecting units of products that do not conform to product specification. We use certain inspection and testing so that the units that have been produced, they are okay or not. This is called appraisal cost. Remember, preventive costs involves staff training, suppliers evaluation, regular maintenance of your plant, preventive. Appraisal costs involve testing your finished products, testing your raw materials, conducting statistical quality controls. Internal failures is the cost of rework before the goods reach your customer. And external failure is the loss because the customer is very unhappy. He cancels the orders, he asks for refunds, he asks for warranty, and so on and so forth. And of course, it also involves the environmental degradation or environmental pollution that your business creates. So here it's appraisal. That's blue. Then next question. All of the following are example of benchmarking standards except the performance of the unit during the previous year. No, last year cannot be the benchmark. Okay guys, let me give you an interesting example. For FTC, FTC is in business in CMA training for the last 12 years. And if you ask me which of your years in CMA training has been the best, I would say 2015 Feb. 2015 Feb. This was the year when our institute had 100% result. Every student who wrote the exam, all of them passed. So this is the benchmark for me. This is the standard for me. Not 2020 or 2021, the last year. Remember. So this is wrong. All of the following are examples of benchmarking standard except the performance of the unit during the previous year. No, your previous year cannot be your benchmark unless that year was the best. So this is false. Interestingly, this is the right option. We wanted to find the one that is not correct. Others are fine. The best performance of the unit in the comparable past period. This is the benchmark. This is correct. This is a correct statement. The comparison with similar unit within the same company that is doing well. This is again a benchmark. The best performance of a competitor with a similar operation. We compare our performance with our competitor. This is fine. But your last year performance cannot be your benchmark unless it was the best. So this is in fact not correct. We were looking for the option that was not right. This is a good one. Gentlemen, I hope you remember. I asked you that if you give me $100, I have 4 different cost of quality. Preventive measures, preventive controls, appraisals, internal failure and external failure. If you allow me, I will spend $100 right here, not $99, $100 here, because this is the best defense I have. Look at this, what this company is suffering from, same problem. A quality cost report prepared by Dominion Incorporated reveals the following, that this company spends 10% of the money on preventive, 15% on appraisal, 20% on internal failure, and resultantly customers are very unhappy. You spend 55% cost of quality on external failure. This is damaging for the business. This needs to be corrected. What we do? Which of the following should Dominion emphasize in order to most effectively improve its overall cost of quality. You are spending very less on preventive cost. You need to spend more on preventive cost. Now, which of these is preventive? Let us see. Customer support, it's external failure to keep your customer happy. Rework is internal failure. Inspection is appraisal. Yes, you need to spend on quality training because quality training is preventive. Quality training is prevention. Spend here. Give me $100 and I will spend everything here so that I can lower my costs down the line. Okay, this one. A small computer manufacturer employs 25 workers in its main manufacturing facility. The performance improvement team has identified the following activities and the relative time demanded by each activity. So what basically we have to do? Classify the 4 activities as value added and non-value added. Remember, value added activities are those that add customer satisfaction. They increases customer utility. And non-value added, as a customer, I'd say khali wali. I don't need these costs. Storage, material handling, production scheduling. I don't care about these costs. So we need to identify which of these are value added that the customers care for, and which are these for which customer is not interested. This is your problem, not customers. Let's see. So we have the first cost, assembly of computer components. When the computers are assembled, only then they become valuable for me. So this is a value adding. I like and I would like to have an assembled computer. Installing a software, without software my computer is worthless. So when the computer is installed, so for me it becomes more valuable. An assembled computer is valuable to me. A computer on which the software is installed is valuable to me. Now, inspecting and testing the assembled units. This is, I say khali wali. I don't care about these. This is the job of the company. Inspection and testing is their concern, not mine. I don't care about this. So for me as a customer, I say I don't need them. For me, these are non-value adding costs, right? I don't care about them. Then moving the finished units to the storage, I don't care whether they have been stored in an air-conditioned storage or they have been stored in the desert. I don't care. So for me, then this is again a non-value adding cost. So remember, value adding costs are those costs which the customers get benefit from, or these costs increase the customer satisfaction and utility. And non-value adding cost, customer says khali wali. I don't care. So the first two, A and B, they are value adding, and the second cost, C and D, they are non-value adding. So that makes B to be the correct option. B. Okay, here we go. Now, a manufacturer of high technology consumer goods incurred the following quality related expenses last year. Equipment maintenance, a lovely thing to do, is a preventive maintenance. It's prevention. Spoilage that should not have occurred. This is internal failure, shouldn't have happened. Liability claims, your customers are unhappy, they brought the goods back and threw them on your face. These are external failure. Then suppliers evaluations, your suppliers must be quiz, good people, dependable, reliable. This is prevention. Scrap, the material wasted, it's internal failure. Customer support, to keep them happy despite giving them bad things, is an external failure cost. And then finally, the finished product testing, whether it is up to the specification. Remember, testing of raw material, testing of finished goods, statistical quality controls, it becomes a part of your appraisal. What are we looking for? What is the total cost of prevention? Blue, 5,000 and 5,000 gives you 10,000. So that makes C to be the correct option, and it should go blue, and it does. So guys, that completes your other process improvement tools, and it winds up the lecture for tonight as well.